collaborative.
Sorry,
Okay,
Pat.
no worries. Can you all still hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, great. The coalition's also doing work on behalf of the community. There's a big emphasis to make sure this is community led, which is also part of the reason I'm giving you guys an update. Dolores County, as we see it, is part of the community um, on a larger scale. So as far as the funding goes, the phase one funding was $100,000. That was awarded in May of 24, and then phase two, at $200,000 was awarded last June. And that phase two piece is going to support the monitoring well that we are looking to drill. So want to at this kind of stop for a minute and make a clear distinction. Right now, the phase two only covers this monitoring well. Phase three, provided that we use the monitoring well, the data that we gather and things like that to actually delineate the resource, see how big it is, try to get a feeling for how truly how hot the subsurface could be. Then we could move into a phase three, which would be a production well and on into a thermal energy network. So the idea here is to not generate electricity with with the system. It's going to be more of a direct use thermal energy network. You'll see the abbreviation 10 TEN for thermal energy network sometimes with this project, and that's what it's about. There'll be some infrastructure laid, and it'll effectively heat some of the municipal buildings and some of the residents. That's kind of the plan or the end in mind. Tavera, the geoscience partner, the one that I'm contracting with as well, has done all of the subsurface modeling based on the information that they have. The three, we'll say, surface expressions that I talked about earlier are from old molybdenum core drilling, like in the mining industry. Yeah, core holes that were drilled back in like the 60s. Those, there's not a lot of data around those other than we can't re-enter those wells. Really, the only data that we have is what the temperature and flow rate is coming to surface. So we don't really have a lot of good hard data around the subsurface for Rico, which is hence the monitoring well. We actually need to drill down and do some science and try to delineate the resource. So we're looking at targeting the Leadville limestone or the Hermosa limestone. That's what we are assuming is the geothermal reservoir. Looking at, and I'll just convert these for you, 200, 250 meters is about 660 to 820 feet. 50 meters thick is what we think that that's probably going to be, which is about 164 feet thick. And then 50 C is about 122 degrees Fahrenheit. So that probably isn't going to be enough. If we can confirm that, that's probably not enough heat to generate power, but it'd be great for a thermal energy network district heating system. There was a big survey that was taken among the Rico residents. I'm not going to dwell on it too much, but again, in the interest of this being a community-led project, we want to make sure that we are starting with the community in mind. As far as primary heating sources, most people in Rico heat their house on propane, about almost 60%, and the rest is a combination of wood and electric. When asked the question if their heating system was resilient if Rico were to lose power, again, one power line running into Rico and that's it, about 43% said either no or maybe. So again, a bit of a community risk there. Close to 40% either don't have resilient heat or don't know if they do. So hence the impetus as well for a district heating system. As far as what the residents are interested in, overwhelmingly 71% had said yes when asked about district heating and geothermal energy for their homes. 60% there were interested. And the vast majority, as you can see in the bar chart, community hot springs, greenhouses, melting snow, all that could all potentially be used from this system as well. Um, so talking about the phase two where we're currently at, This is the phase that we're currently in, and we're talking about the monitoring well. Is we were awarded $200,000 over the course of 18 months. Most of that has gone to science modeling preparation. We're left at this point with about $50,000 to actually drill the well. I've been in touch with Richard and Jeremy Redshot, Ucolo Drilling, to start planning, putting a design together to achieve the purposes of the monitoring well, um, and move forward that way. That's where we're at, and that is my last slide. What I want to show now is kind of more where we are currently at. Give me one moment as I find my map. All right. Assuming you can see the Onyx map now. Oh, did I lose you guys?
Nope, we're here.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So town of Rico here to the south. Okay. Just north of town. This is all owned by Atlantic Richfield. And this is kind of the general vicinity where the three surface expressions currently are. The hot springs that is owned by Dave Bolson is right here. Okay. Anywhere you see kind of these yellowish discharges around the river, like here, and I think there's one further to the north. That's where we see the surface expression of the geothermal anomaly. What we have targeted at this point was on this private road that comes off of Highway 145. We had a site meeting with the Redshaws and Dave Bolson and I, as well as Teal Stetson Lee, who's our community liaison, last week. They're in Rico, and we've identified this kind of wide spot on the private road as a potential site for the monitoring well. So, barring any reservations or any hurdles that we run into unforeseen, we'll be moving forward with putting a monitoring well here at this site. Um, at the end of the day, the monitoring well will be owned by Dave. He's going to, he currently had, because I'll say borehole that feeds his hot spring is uncontrolled, that doesn't have casing set. It's one of these old mining core wells that was drilled in the 60s. He doesn't have a means to control the flow there. So he ended up getting an additional well permit that he can basically drill a quote replacement well within anywhere of about 200 feet of this. This is only about this is well, I'll just say well within that buffer zone. So the idea here is to drill the monitoring well after we've collected our data and done our science on it to help delineate the geothermal resource. Dave will have ownership of this, and he can convert it into a production well that would then feed his hot spring. So, and at that point, it would be all owned by Dave. He would be responsible for any sort of maintenance, asset retirement obligation, anything like that, and potentially be able to use that well as a bit of a relief well to stop the flow on this and go in and remediate it, which I think the Department of Water Resources is particularly interested in. And with that, that's the kind of the end of my update as far as where we're currently at. I would say we're hoping to potentially get spudded our well start drilling our well in as early as this fall. We've still got some hoops to jump through as far as the permitting goes and things like that. Make sure that that's all going to be able to be done on his permit. And yeah, either I was going to say wintertime drilling in Rico in the wintertime is probably a no-go. So hopefully if we can't get it get the well drilled this fall, then it'll be next spring.
Currently, everything's on private property.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. So this is both this side of the road is Homestake Little Cora as well as this side. So I would say in the software here, this private road actually doesn't show ownership, but one of the one of the things that I found is this is a private road. So this road is owned by Dave as well. And I gotta give a little credit here to Amber Fisher and Amber Blackmore for helping me on that. I've been talking with them about it as well, just to double check that everything's squared away in terms of land ownership. So thank you, Amber. I appreciate that, all the work that you've done.
And then for the permitting, is that all ran through, um, jump on me now or later if I get this wrong, but the ECMC?
No, this will be ran through the Division of Water Resources. So
Oh,
there's a clear distinction in the new geothermal regulations that they kind of draw a line at I want to say it's on the order of like 3,000 feet. Anything below that's regulated as same as oil and gas, ECMC. Anything shallower than that is regulated by the Division of Water Resources.
What's that cutoff again?
3,000 feet?
So I was going to say you should double check me on that regulations, but it's on the order of a couple thousand feet.
I had a couple of questions if you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hey man, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. It's Dennis Galbraith.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to wrap my brain around this and frankly, um, I know I don't know if we can. I know under ECMC, then the county has a lot of input into these well drillings, but if it's water resources, is there any role that is played by the county in the permitting?
Not that I'm aware of at this point.
So it's no different than someone applying for a private water well, I'm
Absolutely.
what you're saying. So,
Absolutely. At this depth. Now, if they were going to drill a well that was going to be a geothermal well, accessing, I'll say non-tributary waters that are something on the order of like 6,000 feet deep, then yeah, it'd be ruled the same way as like an oil and gas well and permitted through the ECMC.
so, and I don't mind asking your opinion. Is it your opinion that the county should not have a role in these water wells? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, as far as like an actual legal role, I would say my opinion would be no. I don't see it as being like, especially in this circumstance, I don't see it being any different than a water well.
So let's
Just the
just,
water that comes out's hot.
and I mean, I think Dave, is that his name?
Yeah, Dave Bolson.
I think Dave's situation's different because, I mean, he's applying for a replacement bore, basically a replacement well. Do they, let's just say I own some property and I wanted to put a geothermal play in on it, and it's one of these shallow wells above 3,000 feet.
Hmm.
Do they tell me how many gallons I can pull out of it, just like a
Yes.
water well?
Yep, absolutely. I want to say his existing core hole's doing something about 30 to 35 gallons a minute. And any replacement well, it has to either be at or below that.
Okay, so then if somebody comes in, so it's the same as if you're in a water sensitive area, you're probably not going to get the permit, or they're going to limit you to 10 gallons a minute or 10 gallons a
Absolutely.
minute. So it's the same way you would go in and apply for a water well.
Absolutely.
And then they're also going to tell you what you can do with the water, right?
Absolutely. Yep. They'll tell you what you can do with it, whether it's going to be potable, non-potable. And then like as of right now, his current system is discharging into the river because
Okay.
he can't control it.
So let's forget about him for a second and just assume it's me drilling a well for a geothermal play on 10 acres I own over by Rico, which I don't,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
um if
We can talk hypothetically. Okay.
um so they're gonna if they know, because I'm gonna put on my application that I'm gonna use it for geothermal, and so I'm gonna ask for the use to be to pipe to my neighbor who's gonna buy water from me to heat his greenhouse.
Okay.
And is it gonna be right on the application, allowable for geothermal
Yeah. For direct use.
direct use?
Yeah. I don't know. Say I think there's a clear distinction as well between direct use versus electricity production.
Okay.
And there are also in the regulations, there are also some, we'll say, if-then statements around expected bottom hole temperatures and expected static reservoir temperatures. If they're over a certain degree, then it throws you into a different category in terms of just kind of a drilling equipment. You have to have a blowout preventer. You have to have a response plan in case something were to flash to steam or something like that.
And that's all in the regulations for Division of Water Resources?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Perfect.
Yeah. I hope you were thinking the same thing.
I was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, in terms of in terms of this, and this is what's unique a little bit, is we like the geothermal regulations are through the Division of Water Resources. DWR is having to work very closely with ECMC to make sure who has jurisdiction over what right now. And geothermal is a bit of a very new category for them. So they are still kind of trying to figure out how they're going to apply certain regulations in certain interesting circumstances. Unfortunately, one being ours, because we do have this existing subsurface expression that was man-made back in the 60s and has been grandfathered in to the end of the rules. So we're going to be working really closely with Kevin Donegan at the Division of Water Resources to make sure that this is all permitted appropriately through DWR.
Another question for you, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
So
please.
I'm assuming that this is a finite resource. I know water is obviously, but
Mhm.
geothermal even more so, right?
I would arguably disagree. So
Oh,
there's meteoric recharge into the system typically, and
okay.
provided that you're not producing it beyond what it can recharge, then it is not. I would say it's not a finite system.
Okay, so if I am, again, hypothetically, I want to drill a well, I want to develop a geothermal play, shallow well, is
Hmm.
Division of Water Resources going to know all of the competing wells in the area for that geothermal resource? And
Yeah.
are they going to be able to say, man, we're pulling way too much hot water out of that area, or do they care?
So it's very similar to the way you would apply for a regular water well. If there's too many, they regulate it in such a way that if there's too many wells pulling from the same freshwater aquifer, shallow freshwater aquifer, then they will say you can only, yeah, you might be able to put a well here, but now you can only pull X amount of flow rate from it to avoid completely depleting that resource. Because even freshwater or shallow freshwater aquifers recharge. You just have to make sure that that you're not pulling more from the tank than what's going into it.
How about the heated? How about the heated water that if you have too many wells in one area, will it diminish the heat?
I'll say yes. The big piece there is if you end up drilling an injection well to pump the cold, like after you've used the heat to pump the cold water back into the geothermal resource, then you start running a larger risk of cooling off the resource. But the actual heat, the enthalpy in the system is going to continually recharge,
Okay, thanks.
of course.
Um, so I've got a question. You mentioned, I guess an unstable, heating supply with what's currently used by, majority of Rico residents.
Hmm.
Uh, this would help solve that issue. And then just power infrastructure. Is there any way that this could be leveraged into like a drought mitigation or energy resilience, heat resilience?
I think so. As far as energy resilience, absolutely. The and I can't speak to the full system. I'm only doing the drilling piece. So as far as I don't know what the actual surface infrastructure is going to look like. That's outside of my, we'll say, expertise. But one thing that I've posed to the Tavera team here is even if you have to have some sort of pump at surface, odds are the pump's going to be electrical. And then now you have to start looking at redundancy around like a backup generator or something like that. Because if you have this great geothermal resource and you're planning to make that a bit of a resiliency argument for it, then it needs to be able to operate independently of the same electric grid that you're trying to be resilient from. So that's one piece. As far as a drought mitigation, I don't know that this would really fall under that because we're really looking more for the heat in the water as opposed to the water itself. As far as this being like a thermal energy network district heating system, I imagine most of the actual water that's going to be used is going to be closed loop. So after they've pulled the heat off of the water, they'll either discharge it back into the river where it's currently going, or they would put it into an injection well, injecting it back into the same resource. And that would, and to Dennis's point earlier, that would have to be, there'd have to be some math behind how quickly they can, or how much fluid, how much rate they can put back into the resource without thermally short circuiting the system and eventually cooling off the resource.
Okay. And the reason I ask that is there seems to be a lot of funding right now, whether it's congressionally directed spending, the disaster mitigation enterprise grants, um, things like that, that be much more competitive with a joint effort between, say, the municipality of Rico and the county applying for that, if it can check some of those boxes. Um, and in my mind, be a
So go get
great
it.
opportunity to
Go.
scale up from just beyond the direct use into maybe an energy hardening system, something like that. And I really see maybe at this point in time, maybe more involvement with the county just being part of that loop to bolster any effort to acquire additional funding for that stuff.
Okay, great. Yeah, I was gonna say we're definitely looking for additional dollars to help kind of supplement the actual drilling because I'm gonna say with the design that we're currently looking at for this geothermal well,
Mhm.
I don't know if $50,000 is gonna get us to the depth that we're hoping to be at. So and yeah, any additional funding in that way. Um, yeah, whether if it could come from Dolores County, that'd be great. But alternatively,
We
if
don't
you
have
could,
funding. I'm not, we don't
no,
have,
no.
but
Alternatively, if you could point us in the direction of other grants or other initiatives, that would be outstanding as well.
so yeah, I mean, if you're pursuing anything like that, if the county can be of assistance looking at it, I mean, bolster an application for it. Um, yeah, I would hope that you would reach out anyway, we can discuss it.
Okay, I certainly will.
Well, Margaret's always finding money.
Yeah.
All over the place. I think this would be a good opportunity right now for the board to decide whether or not they feel like they need to take an active planning role in this initial monitoring well. It seems to me like it would be unnecessary since the permit's already been granted by the water resources and it's a replacement well. If anything, I think we should be happy that it's a controllable well instead of a free flow.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I could make an argument that since this is part of a bigger enterprise, so to speak, I guess it could potentially be considered, commercial activity subject to our land use code, but at least at this stage, it seems to me like it'd be appropriate to let them do their own thing on this monitoring well.
Yeah.
I agree.
I would agree with that. And I mean, I feel like that's one thing with the geothermal coalition, I mean, presentations, everything is out in the open. I feel like they're very engaged with everything. So I don't think there's anything that's.
And I think for the record, since we are on the record, I would just want to say that the county would certainly reserve the right to require going through the land use process in the future if it turned into something that looked like it was going to be a big commercial activity. Yeah, it was good. Thank you. It's good if it's going to be scaled up. Matt, did you get that?
I did.
Okay.
Yep. No, yeah, if I want to say if I heard you correctly, you guys will kind of stay out as far as the, any sort of planning or anything like that, and we'll kind of just continue to monitor and let us do our thing.
Well, I think we certainly want to be included in your planning, kept up to date. But in terms of the test well, that looks like Division of Water Resources has got that one handled as a water well. But if it turned into, like Eric said, if it scaled up into a large enterprise geothermal kind of commercial activity, then the county might step in at some point and require permitting.
Okay. No, understood. One thing that I will pass along, and I'll say this is kind of project adjacent to us, is I know that Dave is I think he does have plans or aspirations to eventually use his current system or something bolstered by our monitoring well to put in kind of a bit of a campground sort of thing, that would allow additional use to the hot spring that he currently has. So I don't know what his plans are in terms of enterprising that, but I don't say something for, just as a disclosure, something that you guys might be interested in.
And Margaret is has actually been contacted by Dave and
Great.
yeah, so we'll be aware of that as that permitting process goes along. But I think everyone's happy for Rico and any commercial activity they can pursue.
Great. So I'll say a question that I would have kind of before we wrap this item is there any additional guidance steps from the county's perspective that we'll need to go through prior to getting this well spudded?
I wouldn't think for the monitoring well.
Okay.
Any county road issues, anything like that?
I mean, it looks like it's all private, but any issue with county roads? I mean, you probably work with more CDOT right off the highway than anything with the county.
Right. And that's, I'll say one thing on our checklist is we're gonna need to make sure that as close as that is to Highway 145, we'll have to make sure that we are outside of CDOT's right of way.
Yeah.
But other than that, it'll all be on private.
I can't think of anything.
Good luck.
Thanks, man.
You
Yeah,
bet. Thanks, guys.
good water.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Mm.
All right. Moving on to our 9:30. Proposed fire ordinance first reading.
So you should have read this, you should have gotten this draft when I first sent it over a couple weeks ago. So what this is this is a revision to our current fire ban ordinance, and we needed to update it for a couple of things. First of all, we're supposed to have a formal, under the revised statute, we're supposed to have a formal process for obtaining a fire permit. And so that includes our formal process is formalized in here, even though it's a pretty casual process. It's called on, and Don will let you know if you can burn that day or not, based on red flag and anything else that might be a problem. The second thing is the penalties and the enforcement procedure was changed when they changed all of the penalty stuff to civil infractions as opposed to criminal or they were before. So what this also does is this is longer than our other one because it actually spells out what the three stages are. And you are free as the Board of County Commissioner and the sheriff to modify those stages as you see fit with the enacting resolution. So when you do a fire ban, you should do a resolution. We're adopting stage 1 fire ban. And you could also say with the exception of, you can exempt things right when you do it. And that's the way you really should handle enacting fire bans. You should do it by resolution. And then the issue of fireworks is always tricky. If you're going to ban fireworks during the 4th of July season, I think it's like May through end of July or something, then you have to make a specific finding why you're banning fireworks specifically and for how long and all that. This having the 3 stages, Don pointed out to me he likes that because if you enact a stage 1 fire ban. And you got some guy that goes out there and just ignores it and burns, and he says, well, I don't know what a stage 1 fire ban is. So now we could say, yeah, you do. It's in the ordinance, and if you didn't read it, ignorance of the laws, no defense. So, a little bit more in-depth than our other one for sure. It's probably gonna be a little bit more expensive to report twice too, or to advertise twice too.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Just as a refresher on how we adopt ordinances, this is the first reading of the ordinance. Since you guys were provided with copies of this ordinance at least 24 hours prior to the first reading, we can rely on CRS 30-15-407 and simply which would allow us to read the title of the proposed ordinance only. And then what you'd be doing today is not approving it. You would be approving it for publication. And you have to do that at least 10 days before the public hearing in which you actually adopt the ordinance. So today, if you guys are okay with this, and by the way, when you come back to do the actual hearing for adoption, we can also change it.
Okay.
And so we don't even have to talk about like what you want changed or anything today if you don't want to. But good opportunity to discuss it or whatever. I think the issues that came up were on page 4 previously. Don wanted some ability to declare a fire ban in the event of an urgent situation. So you're gonna see bolded language towards the bottom of paragraph 8 on page 4. In the event of an emergency requiring an immediate restriction, the Dolores County Sheriff acting as fire warden shall have the authority to declare a restriction based upon competent evidence. In such an event, the Board of County Commissioners shall consider the matter at the next commissioner meeting for ratification, modification, or rescission. Additionally, the Dolores County Sheriff may grant specific exemptions to enacted fire restrictions to individuals who can present compelling grounds, and it is determined that any fire danger may be adequately mitigated.
That would be like the 4th of July fireworks or something.
Yes, you can do that, or you can, I think, I'd rather that be a joint effort by you and the commissioners to say, hey, are we gonna do fireworks this year or not? But it might be, Don pointed out, for example, if the fire district or fire department wanted to do a burn, it's in the middle of a fire ban, but maybe it's a training burn or something like that, and they're gonna have everybody out there with hoses,
It's controlled.
doing a training.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah.
Well, and we have Steve doing the
Culverts. Well, then cutting the culverts.
cutting the culverts. So that's what he's supposed to start doing. So they've applied for that special burn ban permit too. Steve Davis.
So that risk to be mitigated. as best as
And they're gonna say, this is how we're mitigating the risk. And they have the water truck and all that stuff too.
And honestly, if you're in the middle of a farm field with no crops in it, and you're welding, somebody comes to you and says, hey, I need to do some welding on my back 40
There
over
you go.
in the middle of a barren field.
Yeah.
So that's the situation.
And I mean, could this be used, say we had a pretty large scale fire where all of our assets are on that fire? Is that something we could implement? So, I mean, to diminish the risk of a fire in another location in the county because we're already.
It could be,
Overallocated.
yes. If the firefighters feel that that's necessary, then yes.
I'm just thinking like the Sharps fire last year where all of our assets with this district were on that scene.
Yep.
Thinking that would have been really good to have a ban in place, or it was, but
It was.
a ban in place, just so we're not jumping across the county. with full burn. Sure.
Good point,
Something
yeah,
like that.
good point.
So, yeah, like I said, if you guys are okay with this, then what I would need is a motion, so the reading of this would be, this is, do we know what ordinance number this is gonna be?
What, we're using this month's, or when it's actually adopted after the third readings.
I don't care. I've never really had a problem
Well,
with
and then
that.
you have the irrigation people too, when they have to clean out, so
Burn the.
If you do this month.
Yeah.
they have to burn
They
the,
heard tumbleweeds
there you go.
Yeah.
and so they have to burn those, and if they have baskets, and they might want to require them, so
Yeah.
and they have filled one out before too.
Let me get them. They're gonna get it on December.
Thank you. 2602.
2602?
Yes, please.
Okay, so this would be, the first reading of this would be, the first reading of ordinance, 2026-02, Board of County Commissioners of Dolores County, Colorado. This would be an ordinance enacting a Dolores County open burning and local fire restriction ordinance, repealing and replacing Dolores County ordinance number 2011-2. And this would be read by title pursuant to CRS 30-15-407. And if the board is so inclined, I would need a motion to publish this proposed ordinance. And again, this would be published at least 10 days before the public hearing, during which the board would consider amendments to it and or adoption.
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Yellman, would be to publish ordinance 2026-02. Yeah,
I'll second that motion.
have a second, any other discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
I'm a yes. All affirmative, motion carries.
And for the record, I call it the Cortez Journal. Cortez Journal is our official publication. I guess it's called the Journal now. It's called the Cortez Journal. And so that would be, so I would ask Margaret to publish this in full and set this for, why don't we set it in a month for adoption consideration?
So looking at the 6th
July 6th.
July.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm guessing you heard from Linda, she's headed to CCF.
She is headed.
Thanks, Don.
Yeah, thank you, Sheriff.
We should, print any more, do this. Follow them? To notice when we're gonna do, let me look and see if we see, notice when we're gonna do.
Now, this is the report, it shows record of proceedings. Second page is actuals to Judge Terry. Third page is our publishing page. And then the reconciliation with the Treasury's Department. She's asked me to let you know that there are 49 child support cases right now. 2 APS, adult protection, 1 CPS, and 1 assessment for CPS.
1 child protection and 2 adult.
Well, 1 case and 1 assessment for child protection.
Oh. That's not very many. I guess that's a good thing.
and 49 child support. Also, the eligibility tax to take care of, among other things, SNAP and food stamps, Medicaid. Medicaid, right now, they have 275 cases. Food stamps, 108, and a total with the other programs of 514 between the two eligibility.
Have you guys seen an uptick in reports from seniors with attempted scamming with anything like that?
I think that that's always out there. I don't think that they've seen an increase necessarily. The, it's always there for the seniors.
Yeah.
And a lot of times those are the adult protection cases that you get.
Yeah.
So.
'Cause I think the sheriff's office seen a slight uptick in calls reporting some of that, so I was just wondering if it's hitting this too.
They are very good at scamming the seniors in any way that they can. And sometimes it's too late.
Yeah. Already sent.
But I don't think sometimes they even know they're seniors. I mean, a lot of people get scam called.
Everybody gets scam called, but they can tell by their voice and how they answer. So they're so good.
A question for you. Do we have a process? Do we have like a hotline for seniors to call if they have a question about whether something they're doing is a scam or?
They call the sheriff's office all the time.
I mean, wouldn't that be a nice thing to put out there? If this is prevalent in the community,
If you're unsure, call this number.
yes. Unless they're gonna think that's a scam.
Yeah, right.
But
They get to that point.
I know, I listen to my mom sometimes and I'm going, it's tough for them. I'm just wondering, is there a flyer or do you post it or the senior service?
At senior services, they do. Elisa has programs that she gives, she talks to them about it once a month or so, she tells them about the latest scam. Of course, if anybody comes in and asks her about something, and takes it to the whole group and they talk about it. But the sad ones are the ones that don't want to tell anybody they've been scammed. They've given them this money and they don't want to tell anybody because they're so embarrassed.
Yeah. A lot of deal with shame that can come with that.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely, because they told me not to do it.
Or
But
their
this guy
daughter
told
rips
me.
their butt out of for sending $25,000 in cash.
It reminds me of my
It didn't go.
my
But
dad
yeah.
when he was
Oh.
80. He had a Harley that he had forever. And he polished it with a diaper every day, and it was just perfect, pristine. And he was about 80 years old at the time. He went for a ride on his Harley, and he dropped it in the driveway and couldn't pick it up, and had to go to the neighbor's house and have the neighbor come over and help him pick up the Harley. And just devastated him. Didn't tell anyone. Sold the Harley the next day for next to nothing. I said, "Damn, where's your Harley?" Oh, I was tired of it. And I asked my mom what happened, and she told me. So there's that embarrassment of getting old and realizing you don't have it anymore, mentally or physically.
It really is. But it is also, and the group that comes to the senior center is probably as well informed as you can be. But there are a lot of people that don't come to the senior center that are out there.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that this tip line or this something would really help possibly, I don't know.
I think I think you see the difference, people that are out and engaged and having those real conversations with people, and you can differentiate between the two. Somebody that's maybe
Stays
not as
home.
engaged with the community,
Mhm.
they stay home, contact comes in, and I think the line can get blurred between one.
I bet Kendra would put something, if she doesn't already, on
That would be wonderful.
you know.
Just anything anything to reach out to these folks, and especially the ones that don't show up. That's what I'm saying. They're the ones that are the biggest targets,
Yeah.
because they think, boy, that's a nice person. You know, they just call and talk to me, and it's just a nice person. They don't need much, they need, just asking about some of my finances or.
It's just a $50 gift card that.
Yeah, that's all they're asking, and you know, it's worth it to me just to talk to someone. It's terrible.
Yeah, Kendra said she would,
Maybe we could give Kendra a number that they could publish for a hotline or something, or maybe this is an Elisa
yeah.
question.
Work with Lisa on that, or the
Well-
sheriff, and then see what
Sheriff.
state resources are available to you for a hotline. And if it's from, official publication where it's out.
Just that they're, and just general information about the newest fraud,
Yeah,
because they change weekly.
yeah.
But the information about the newest fraud and how that could be. Just letting people know, giving them the information, so they'd be a little more prepared maybe.
Well, it just makes you angry, doesn't it? Just makes you angry. I same thing with a computer scam. It just makes me angry that there's this huge number of people out there that are just okay with disrupting everyone around the world.
But there's
When
no
they're trying to
accountability
just
or
do the right
justice. There's no accountability or justice because they are more likely in a foreign country, bouncing through VPNs, targeting our citizens.
Yeah, it's horrible.
They're never gonna get their money. Never get their money.
Think about how many passwords that we're required to have and write down and keep track of. Think about how much time that has sucked away from productivity, all of these passwords that we have to have.
Yeah.
Just because there are these criminals out there that are relentless. It's awful.
Look at the hours spent in my life going through forgot password and trying to do that.
Yeah,
I mean, probably added up to several days at this point.
oh, easily.
So I'll make a motion to approve the record proceeding for June 1st, 2026, as well as the April 2026.
I'll second that motion.
Motion a second, any other discussion? And all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm a yes as well.
Do you have text me?
Thank you, I've just given it to.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Things in the hall.
So yes, she, okay, this will be fun.
Water bank, or
I think it was a water thing. They had to have a reline. Damn it, man.
Thank you,
Must have
guys.
been, thank you, Nita. Must have been a mag tank, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, they had to have it sprayed. Pioneer Center use form update discussion and possible.
Yeah, and I told Lisa 10:30, so I think she was gonna come over. I don't know if they're gonna wait.
Oh, I thought we were running behind.
Well, we were for a
For a
minute.
second, yeah,
For
I
a
was-
small second.
Okay, cool, perfect.
You cut back up real quick.
All right. Yeah, so moving to small business, the wildfire code adoption, it was really good having that 5x5 meeting to hear what the other counties were doing. And see where we fit into all of that. I mean,
I did notice though that, I was surprised Montezuma, it sounds like maybe they did adopt it, but turned it over to the state for enforcement.
yeah. That's what it sounded like.
Yeah.
The only ones that are really doing anything with enforcement are the ones with a building department and building codes. And Brandon with San Miguel did reach out. And what they're doing on the west end where they don't have the building codes. Similar to what we've talked about is when a driveway permit's pulled, any type of permit, they are giving them a copy of the code and saying, hey, it's recommended that you follow this. I think the only step beyond what we've discussed is that they're having them sign and acknowledge they've received a copy of the code.
Oh,
So, I thought that
There you go.
was
Yeah.
a pretty great idea. I mean, I can imagine the state would be unhappy with that. I mean, if their goal is to, really promote fire mitigation,
Right.
here's a recommended code, acknowledge that you've received and understand it. Good forward.
Well, so are you saying that you think we should adopt it, or, you think we should sit tight and treat it as, here's the state code? This is what we think you should follow.
I'm still sort of holding tight with it and handing down.
I think the state will tell us if they're not happy with us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eventually. There's about 63 counties that have this problem.
Yeah.
62. It's holding pattern then?
Yep.
Okay.
I like that.
There.
And still get the information out. It's,
Maybe, can you relay that to Amber? And maybe we could even get, maybe you could get, Keith to put together a little fire wise packet or something for people to get.
and that, I think there's already materials there. Yeah. I've seen that floating around. So yeah, there's already some firewise information.
Maybe we print a bunch of the, state statutes, put it in there and say. And I don't, or if you want them to, if you want her to keep a log of. Just a log of permits that she issues and signed received packet.
I think that would be great.
Yeah, well,
That way we know.
talk about
Yes.
something after the call. Remind me to bring that up, what you just said.
Okay.
You need this in paper form or?
Done board of assessors. So we can know.
Oh, we're gonna sign it.
Sounds.
Or don't you?
Okay.
We can sign that, we can have them sign it and we can sign it again.
When I convert it back to Word.
Anything, any policies,
About down about that one, which was good.
yeah. Get that worked out and get a draft of it. Then the courthouse downstairs carpet, I know they came out and measured. I don't know if we've got a
I
quote
have
from them
not
for
talked to
us.
Shasta, so I haven't heard from them at all.
They measured, but I don't think we've got,
No,
so.
as far as I know.
And then talking with Alma at the end of the month, it will be in all of this. Deciding,
Or later.
yeah, rather than busy.
And the guy that came and measured, he said it was no problem. They could work around whatever we needed them to do. They won't work weekends, so.
Yeah.
They won't
Probably
not.
the-
Won't work weekends, it'll be during the week, so,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Should be a cluster for a little bit.
It sure would. Sure will.
So I
Yeah.
think it just, I want to wait and see what the total quote's gonna be before.
Yeah.
Shayla?
Yeah, nothing. So I don't know, if that's kind of what I was talking about the other day, it's gonna end up with a lull because of how it all worked out.
And? How do you feel about Stanley Cup, Dennis?
Their friend.
He's rubbing his hair.
It's
not there.
I was so depressed. I think Bednar needs to be fired.
Yep.
And anybody, I keep reading all these things, oh no, he's a great guy, yeah, that's why he needs to be fired.
Yeah.
He's way too nice
I mean, with the roster they had, team,
to get swept.
Yep.
I think if it was a close series, I think I'd be on the fence, but man, they get swept like that.
close series, points to some injuries, things like that, but especially the Knights too. That's got it.
And if you look back even with the Kings series, yeah, they swept it, but they didn't really dominate, you know?
Not like when you see it on the other side, like the way the Kings have dominated in some of their series. Different.
Yeah. Yeah, we're pretty upset in my own.
Yeah.
And I probably won't even watch the final. That's so upsetting.
Yeah.
Are you gonna?
If Montreal would have won, I wouldn't have. I hate both of those teams.
Really?
Point. Oh yeah. Two least, other than the Red Sox, probably two least favorite franchises. But yeah, watch it pull the games.
I think, I tend to be one of those people that feels bad for Canada sometimes when, you know, we take over their national sport and do it better than them and.
I love it. I just want to see it keep happening, just hammer on it.
I think break them.
Yeah, yeah, we'll recess till 10:30.
I'm gonna go ahead and put the notice of the next